you're a student planning to take the graduate record examination, that is the GRE standardized test, and you're worried about how to ace this score so you can get a high score required for the graduate degree program you intend to apply for, don't worry, I've got you covered, because in this video a multi-scholar will be sharing his personal experience on how he got a 334 out of 340 in the GRE exam. And you want to stay back, don't go nowhere, so you can learn some of the tips and the tricks he will be sharing with you. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, if this is your first time stopping by, you are welcome. My name is Esther. I'm an international student from Nigeria, and I share tips with my friends on how to study in the USA. Today, we're going to be talking about an interesting topic, which is acing the GRE, Graduate Record Examination. And in the building today, guys, I have a multi-scholar. In fact, let me leave the introduction for him to do. So, Ademola, the floor is yours. The mic is yours.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you, everyone. My name is Ademola Adeshoko, and I am a Mastercard scholar. But before being a Mastercard scholar, I hold some multiple scholarship and fellowships, which includes the SAP fellowship. So that's like a job experience fellowship, and some certification, global certification fellowship. And I'm also an ISI scholar. iScholar, if you heard of iScholar, is all about GRE sponsorship, TOEFL, and application schools in the US and other countries. So I'm also an MT scholar, and I am an Alan Sachs scholar that does the same thing like the ISI. And currently I'm a Mastercard scholar. I am an NETF scholar also, and I'm a TEF entrepreneur. That's Tony Edumelu entrepreneurship. So that's into starting.
Blow our mind.
Okay, so today I'm here to actually motivate you guys on how you can easily ace your GRE. I'm not just here to motivate. So this is something I've done before.
Please tell them your score. They need to know why you're motivating them. They need them to motivate them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my score, I got 334. As we all know, GRE in total is 340. So I got 334. That's in my Quant. I got 168. While in my Verbal, I got 166. So, and in my AWA, that's the analytical writing, I got 4.0. That might not be too consequential. So let's dip into the strategy. So I will not be talking much on what GRE is all about, and in fact how to catch up with some of the concepts, because some of the concepts, they are just like elementary concepts like algebra, like trying to read comprehension. We have done those in our high schools and all of the things. But I would like to create a concept, and I would like to create an impression that GRE is a standardized exam. So what do I mean by standardized? When they say something is standardized, when they say standard is A to D, that means that we can't go out of A to D. So we can't fly to Z. So when they say A to D, our concept has to be from A, B, C, D, or either D, C, just within that framework. So GRE is standardized, so they can't go beyond the limit of their standard. So if you can understand the standard, the way they set questions, the logic, I think you should be able to use GRE. And GRE is not about being smart or being the best student in class or being the most intelligent. No. If you understand the concept and you understand how to go about the questions and how to answer them, then what is most consequential is, I would like to say that speed is consequential. Speed, the ability to discern. What do I mean by discernment? The ability, whenever you're doing something, there is that ability that will tell you that, okay, I think I'm not doing the right thing. So you will be able to know quickly rather than just solving, and before you know, all the time are gone. So we have three parts in GRE, as you guys know. We have the Quant, we have the Verbal, and we have the Analytical. So let me start with the Verbal, the almighty. I always call it almighty Verbal because I am a science student, and science student now. We're into mathematics, trying to know all these mathematical models and all that. But verbal is not really my thing, but it is what it is. You just have to learn it because you have to ace the exams. So for the verbal, so generally I use Manhattan and the 3 ETS books. So I will not advise you guys to use much materials because sometimes you might easily get lost or get confused. So I use Manhattan throughout and I use the ETS book. But for for learning different words. So actually I use Mangush. Yes, I use Mangush flashcard. In fact, use the Mangush flashcard or use the Baron 1000. So you can, the flashcard is like an application, so you can always learn new word frequently. So for the verbal, as we all know, the verbal, we have the reading comprehension, we have the text completion, and we have the sentence equivalent. So in the reading comprehension, that is where most people always have issue. And one thing about GRE is that any question you're trying to solve, they are all the same, they have the same equal scores. There's no question that is greater than another, no matter how difficult it is. So the first thing I will talk about is whenever you're practicing or whenever you're in the test and you want to just make sure you do the easiest one. Skipping is always allowed. I think that's one thing that helped me a lot. Skip the difficult ones. Most importantly, for the verbal, the reading comprehension, there's the long reading comprehension and there's the shorter one. The reading comprehension, the longer one is, it can make someone go crazy if you don't know how to solve it. So you just have to skip it because something you will do in 30 seconds and something you will do in 2 minutes, they are the same scores. So why waste 2 minutes on a particular question while you can use 30 seconds to get other questions? So our advice to always go for the easy one first before coming back for the difficult ones. So the reading comprehension, you try to read, you try to read the comprehension first. Don't look at the answer. Read the comprehension, then think about the answer from your own perspective. Then when you get the answer, you go to the options and you compare your answer with the most similar ones to your answer. So by that, you can easily eliminate, let's say you have 4 options or 5 options. You can eliminate like 3 and you just have maybe 1 or 2 and you can be able to decide on which one to go with at a very high speed. You don't need to, all these things I'm saying. Okay, so like the verbal, you have 20 questions in 30 minutes. So if you divide like 30 by 20, that's an average of 1.5 minutes. That's 1 minute, 30 seconds. So that means each question you have 1 minute, 30 seconds. So imagine you wasting like 3 minutes on a particular question, you won't be able to finish, to be sincere. So that's for the reading comprehension. The shorter ones, they are not too difficult. If you can navigate the longer one, I think the shorter one should be easier. In fact, the shorter one, you should be able to answer them while going through the questions. So the longer one will be the one you actually come back to solve. Yeah, that's to get the answer and just make it as quick as possible. So for the text completion, that one, when you learn a lot of words, you should be able to know that, yes, this word and this word, maybe they are synonymous or they are not synonymous. It depends on the question that is being asked. But in most times, you have to pick 2 words that are actually similar. So when you learn a lot of words, you know that, yes, this word and this word, they are similar. So let me go to the quants. So that's just a little about the verbal. There's no magic about it. Time, then try to leave the difficult ones and come back for them later. Okay, so let me go to the quant. So the quants, you see different questions. You see I call it data analysis. If you can remember the statistics in our high school. So, but it's kind of something rough. So just like the verbal, the data analysis is the most like confusing one that might take a longer time. They might not be difficult, but though you have to think and go through a lot of things and process a lot of things before you come back to the answer. So our advice for the data analysis, which is the statistics part, you always try to skip because everything is the same score. If you are trying to compare 2 quantities and trying to solve an algebra that will take you 20 seconds, it's the same thing as wasting 1 minute 70 seconds or 2 minutes on the data analysis. So you should always keep the data analysis and come back for it later. So I think that's just the quant is not something I can discuss here much because we all know algebra. Yeah, 2x equals to 2 equals to, yeah. We all know all that. So solving it is not the most difficult part, but trying to be time conscious and trying to know how it is being solved. Let's say, for instance, let me just give a little example. When they ask you to add up a number between 90 to 95, then you have to then subtract 90 from it. So what you have to do, you know that looking at that question, you don't need to go much about trying to crack your brain. Just remove the first 90 because you are told to add up number from 90 to 95 and subtract 90 from it. So you know that the 90 is not there. So the first thing you do, if you are conscious of solving GRE question, you will not even write down that 90. You just start from 91 to 95. Just add it up and you get your answer quickly. So, you know, on the verge of writing that 90 and subtracting, you are taking time. So that's where speed comes in and discernment. The moment you write that 90, you know that you are doing the wrong thing. And you know that you are supposed to subtract. So some things, you don't need to solve everything. Something, you just need to process it in your brain. Then you just actually have to do the rest as quick as possible. So for the AWA, I didn't do much because I concentrated more on the verbal and the quant. So for the AWA, I think you can use Princeton and you can also use Kaplan. But why I say I didn't concentrate more on that, there are more than 200 topics. In fact, if you check some different topics, when you add up everything, it's more than 500 topics. You just need to read how writing is and how they actually. So what the issue is all about is there are two things about the analytical writing. The first one, I think it might be, if I could remember vividly, the argumentative and the issue. So the argumentative, you have to support a position. Are you in for the argument or you are against the argument? One thing, when you are against the argument, don't try in any of the paragraph or any of your sentence to go against the argument again. Let's say you are in, I'm supporting the argument. Don't try by any means, don't be so, yeah, it's good to be critical, but don't be too critical to the extent that you're going against something and you're supporting. That means you are approving something and you're contradicting yourself. So if you're going against, go fully against. And make sure you can type as fast as possible. So you have 30 minutes for each of these section, each of these tasks. I always call it task. So the argumentative task, you have 30 minutes. Why the issue task, you have 30 minutes also. So for the issue task, they want you to be critical, to think, yes, why does this issue happen? And how do you intend to support? Then you prove your own point. So you read, you understand. And so what I did in AWA is, for like 5 to 10 minutes, I have to process what I wanted to do, what I wanted to write. Do I want to support or not? So I want to support. How many points do I have to support? If I'm to go against, how many points do I have to go against? So if I have more points to support, I don't think there's any reason for me to go against, and I know what to write. So the next 20 minutes, I use it to type. And I make sure I typed everything I wanted to do in like 15 to 17 minutes. So the remaining 3 minutes, I use it to check grammatical errors and something that can be corrected, some sentences that can be moved to another place. Then for the issue talk, the same thing. You think, you analyze the issue. Why does this issue happen? How do you intend to? If it is an issue of problem and solution or issue of critical reasoning, you need to be critical about it. And you have to give a valid point that supports or go against that issue. Like, what's the issue all about? Why does it happen? Why is your point valid for that issue? So you need to give all those points and make sure you put everything down. I think that's just the little I would like to give you. Though I have some little tips, but I don't know if Esther has something to say before I go on.
No, I mean, go on and give your tips. Like, as you're busy giving out the previous tips you've been giving out, I was busy also like typing out some tips I'm going to be sharing with the students or the viewers, you guys, you know. And I also have some questions I would ask you, but I just want you to, give us everything you can give us so that when next the viewer wants to take the GRE exam or, they find themselves in the position to make use of this recording, they can be able to do better with their preparation.
Okay, thank you, Esther. So before I go on, there are some links that will be dropped below this YouTube link. So Esther will be dropping that. There's one important document. Please, I would like you to go through that document. The document is I got 331 in GRE. every link you need for GRE, be it AWA, be it Verbal, be it Quant, everything is there and it's explicit. So please go through that link. So that was why I won't be able to say much because everything is comprehensive there. I just have to give my tips and the way I was able to ace the exam. So the little strategy and tips I'll be giving are, if you want to write GRE, I will always advise that you register before you start practicing. What do I mean by that? If you want to write in the next 2 months, register today and you start practicing tomorrow. If not, you might not be able to practice if you don't register. You feel like, oh, I've not registered, so I still have time. Let me be lazy. So that's point number 1. So for the books, I will not advise you guys get into a lot of materials. Okay. There are different materials online and there are different materials you could get from different people. So I would like you to pick a particular material that works best for you and not just ordinary materials. Some of the best materials that you know that, yes, I actually struggle to get this thing. GRE is all about improvement. And improving from, for instance, let's say 298 to 299 is not a small word. Just 1 point. It's a lot. But if you can get that logic to move from 298 to 299, I'm telling you, if you are consistent, you move to 320 something with time and constant practice. So I would like you to concentrate on some particular books. But for me, I use Manhattan 5LB and the 3 ETS book. So another thing again, keep track of your practice session. If you practice, don't just practice and throw it away. No. When you practice and any questions you fail, they always provide solutions and explanation on why you fail those questions. Always go through them. That is how you improve. If you don't go through what you have failed and how you will be able to get it right, you might not be able to move from a particular point to another. You just be stagnant at 298. In fact, I've seen someone that they actually follow all these steps. So this guy is my mentee, and to be sincere, this guy was dropping down. He was going back he started from 298 and this guy went to like 290, 292. But when he started taking cognizance of the places he went wrong and why he went wrong, how can he correct it, and taking more practice tests. In fact, when he did the test, he got about 315 or 318, if I could remember. So that's an excellent improvement. And this guy spent like 6 weeks for his study and practice, everything. So, like I said earlier, for the short and long passages, don't spend too much time. If you know you don't know something, just go forward, do the simpler one and come back to it later. So if answers are too complex, like if you notice there are answers that are too complex or too difficult to clearly get, you can use the elimination approach. There's nothing bad with that. Use the elimination approach, eliminate 2 out of 4. Yeah, then for the 2, you can concentrate on which one you believe will be right. So that's not a bad idea. I use that also. So you should also keep in mind that GRE, sometimes you use your common sense. It's not all about you use your common sense. So actually, sometimes some previous knowledge that I think that they are not too useful, they can be useful in GRE. Imagine critical thinking. There are some universal facts that, let's say for the AWA, for instance, there are some facts that maybe you have read them in some books before. You can be able to use that fact to support an argument. It's not constricted to what is inside or what the comprehension is all about or what they want you to write. It's about how you can think and how you can put your thoughts together. So there are some universal facts, universal knowledge that you can actually use. Don't hesitate. No, yeah. So always use that. It's an option for you. So for the vocabulary, like I said earlier, please learn as much word as you can. You can use the Borden 1100. You can use the Manhattan 500 word list. You can use the flashcard. Please learn. I think during my time, I learned about nothing less than 40 to 30, something to 40 words per day. Wow. And so the time that took me to prepare for my GRE. So I was preparing for 3 months before I stopped. So when I came back, I spent about 2.5 months again. But for the practice, one thing that helped me most is the practice. I think I practice for complete 2 weeks. Sometimes I can do 2-3 tests per day. I'll just close myself inside and bombard myself. Sometimes in 2 days, I might not improve from one score to another. Yes, that's the reality. But when I started improving, I'm telling you, like, it was so fast. I will improve from 301, and by the time, I'll get like 304. I continue continuously. And at a time, I got like 320 something. So that time I knew, yes, I'm ready for this exam. Though I've already registered, I know, yes, I can be able to tackle this exam. At all, I can get like 320 something or 330. And fortunately, it works. So those are the little things I will tell you. The another thing again, when you're going for the mock exams, or when you're doing your mock exams, please, no matter how practical you want to be and how you want to read, how you want to practice most, don't read on the day of the exams. Let's say, for instance, you have the exam in the afternoon or evening. Please, on that day, just skip everything GRE. If not, if you're reading like some hours before the exam, you might get confused. And you might even be like, okay, so the exam is tiring. You might even get tired before the exam. This exam that you spend like 3 hours and some minutes, sometimes you can spend 4 hours. Depends on whether you have some lagging or you have some. So you can spend at least 3 hours, maybe 15 minutes or more. So you need enough of time to rest. So a day before, make sure you rest well. You eat well also. And when you're going, you go with snacks. When you're going to the exam center, you go with snacks. Go with your drinks. There's nothing bad in it. So when you have a break, you can just take a sip. Don't say it's exams, you want to kill yourself. No, there's no do other affair. When you eat, you think well. So everything you've read will come into place. So for the practical test, that's for the practice. I took about 49 online and 16 paper tests. So when you combine everything, that's like 40 or more. Yes. So they were particularly useful in helping me to improve my scores. And I think I did a lot of the practice took place in about 3 to 4 weeks before the exams. So I was doing minor practice when I was reading and all that. But I left everything reading and went into complete practice and started improving on my test score in 4 weeks to the exams. So I did about 24 online tests and about 16 to 17 paper tests. Because sometimes you don't want to look at the screen and so you have to time yourself. So my last 3 practical test score were, I think I got 325. For the quant, I got 165, and for the verbal, I got 160. So the next one, I got 330, which is the second to the last practice. So I'm talking of my last 3 practice. So I got 330, that's 166 for the quant. For the verbal, I got 164. But do you know that the surprising thing, my last practice was 328. Yeah, so it went up by 2. So it is what it is. So I got 165 in my quant, and for my verbal, I got 163. But imagine in the exams, I got 334. So that shows it shows that how much you practice is how much you will be able to ace the exams. And not just practice, how much you practice and how much you do not relent on the wrong ones. So how much effort you put to actually correct what you don't know and to put them into practice. So it's a gradual process. So we just need to do that. So, like I said also, time is of essence. Please, I'm saying this is like the 4th or 5th time. Don't spend too much time on a particular question. Speed is important. As much as you know it, sometimes you can be so good, but when you don't have enough speed to go from one question to another, the time will just go off. And that means automatically you've lost like some points. So which will not make a lot of sense. Yeah. So I think those are just the little points I will give. And if there are any questions, I think.
Thank you so much, Ademola, for sharing your experience with respect to writing and acing the GRE. I actually have a question here. So you said they should register. You're advising students to register for the test before they start practicing.
Sure.
Why do you think this is effective? I mean, what if they are like undergrads watching it and maybe they plan to like take the test after they graduate or something? What would be your advice in this respect? I mean, I just want them to be clear.
Okay, true. Thank you so much. So for undergrad or for somebody that is still into the program, that he might not be able to do GRE or to use it at that time. So I would advise that person to like leave the registration for now. Okay. But for someone that wants to register for grad school, that wants to apply to so many schools, like for instance, a graduate, I don't think so. Okay, so one thing is this: time is of importance, and time is not waiting for anyone.
Yeah.
So if you are a graduate and you are currently not doing something today, and in the next 1 month, like it's not so assured that in the next 2 months you might not have something doing. So, but when you're registered and you start practicing now, even if something comes up later, the ones you have done, you can be able to continue on that. Like I said earlier, I practiced for 3 months and another thing came in. I have to drop it for like 6 months. But the 3 months I've practiced before actually helped me to continue from where I stopped. I just needed to do like a week or 2 week brace up, and I go on from there. So, but when you register early, that will actually give you the hint. That will give you the focus that I have exams on so date. I don't want to relax. In fact, even if you want to sleep at the wrong time, you'll be like, no. This is not the time for sleep. This is the time to study. I have an exam. But when you have not registered, you feel relaxed. You feel like, no, I can still register next year.
Yeah, you keep procrastinating.
So, and I don't want people to do that. So you just have to put up your best and make sure you register. If you know you can practice for like read and practice for like 2 months, register, and you might start practicing before then. But I mean serious practice and reading. Yeah. So for undergrad, you can continue reading and try to practice 1 or 2 tests. And so anytime you believe that you are ready, register and go into full practice. Yeah.
What do you think was the most challenge you had while you were practicing? I mean, were you working? If you were working at that point, how were you able to combine it? Because I know this is currently like challenge for most students, like combining work and GRE practice, and they want to do better, they want to ace the test. What was your challenge and how were you able to overcome this?
Okay, so my challenge then was so I was working, and this work is tedious, and I'm also studying. In fact, so I had an MBA. That time I was doing my MBA. It was also a scholarship from a US school. So I was doing my MBA while I was working, and I'm practicing for GRE. So it was so tedious. Time is also important. So I always spend like 3 hours there. So I sacrifice my sleep in the night. So instead of me, I do love to sleep early then, maybe like 9, 10, but I do sleep like 1. And I have to wake up by 5 or 6 to go to work. So you can see it's a lot of sacrifice. So I think it's just a personal thing. So if you believe you can sacrifice that time, no matter how busy you are, even though it's 2 hours per day, even though it's 1.5 hours, you'll be able to do something. Yeah. So I think time is the most challenging thing for me there.
Thank you so much, Ademola, for sharing your experience and for your time to talk to the viewers, my friends, about how you were able to ace the GRE and how you got the 334 out of 340. Like, guys, you missed just 6 questions. You can also do this. I mean, if you follow some of the tips Ademola has shared in the description below, watch out. I'm going to be sharing some of the links of some of the materials he made use of, and drop in the comment section if you have further questions for Ademola. Ademola will also be there in the comment section to answer you guys, and I'll also be there to answer some of you guys if I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Till then, stay tuned. Peace.